successful characteristics. Yet somehow, they seem to make a tug-of-war with each other. People are forever being told to either stay motivated or be disciplined, as if it's one or the other. Is it though? To what extent is one more important than the other concerning the achievement of long-term goals and fulfillment of ambitions? In order to really begin unraveling the complexity of the relationship between these two forces, it is necessary to first start digging into their definitions, their practical applications, and how they affect the journey toward success. Motivation might be perceived as being the spark or the high that makes one excited to start a thing. It's the first wave of excitement when you decide on a goal to start working out at the gym after months, to study for a very challenging exam in school, or to prepare a new project at work. Well, motivation rawly is exciting. It is that energy that makes you feel like you can conquer the universe, conquer the world, conquer whatever is in front of you. In fact, it's very difficult to make a first step without motivation. This is actually what makes the promise of success so attractive. Then so does motivation. He is that friend who comes out to the party, pumps everyone up, and then leaves just at the dead of the night. Motivation comes and goes, no matter how hard you try holding on to it. It will slip right through your fingers. The problem is, motivation-only practices are untrustworthy. They move straight from your mood, your setting, and even from what's going on outside your weather, whether it's raining or not, whether you slept well the night before, didn't sleep, etc. Some days, you wake up feeling that you can conquer the world, and other days, getting out of bed seems like the greatest challenge you've ever faced. This is where discipline kicks in. Discipline does not feel. It's something that cannot be dictated by the happenings around you. Discipline is the act of showing up to do the job, no matter whether you're in the mood or not. It's commitment to a routine, dedication to following through on a plan, even when you feel like you don't have motivation in your system. If motivation is the spark that lights the fire, then it is discipline that keeps the flames steady and burning long after the excitement has faded. Consider the case of a marathon runner-athlete. At the outset, he is thrilled with the new excitement for reaching the finishing line first. He wants to feel how it feels like to achieve something monumental. Great at first feels the runs in the first few, but soon soreness sets in, and waking at 5 a.m. to run does not feel like torture anymore. It is at that stage when mere motivation is not enough to keep going. It is self-control that drags him out of the bed, laces his shoes, and gets him on his feet on days when the bed he is in is cozy warm. The muscles ache, and the dark still lingers over the sky. Discipline isn't about forcing it through pain. It is about consistency. Most of the time, success doesn't come from one big, glorious move. In fact, it is a multitude of small, seemingly insignificant moves done repeatedly over time. Discipline allows one to develop habits, and it is habits that can be built as steps for long-term success. The athlete who trains repeatedly, even when he or she doesn't feel like it, is the one who eventually crosses the finish line. The student who studies a little bit every day, even when he or she is tired or on his or her phone, is the one who aces the exam. It is only the entrepreneur who lays day after day. His hours go on while business is not booming, who builds a successful company. But that brings us to one very important question. If discipline is so important, does this mean that motivation doesn't matter at all? Not at all. In fact, motivation and discipline work best used together. Think of motivation as the fuel and discipline as the engine. You need both to keep the vehicle of success in motion. Motivation can get you re-energized about the goal when you're feeling drained of motivation. It reminds you why you began and gives you that spark you need to continue to push the car of success. Without discipline, motivation is just fuel with no engine. It will get you started, but it won't take you too far. Perhaps the most widespread myth about discipline is that you either have it or you do not. Many people will say things such as, "I'm just not a disciplined person," as if this were a personality trait you were born with. The fact of the matter is that discipline isn't an innate quality. It is something that develops with time. As in the development of skills, such as mastering an instrument or learning a new language, it is developed through practice into discipline. The more you work at it, the stronger it becomes. I realize that the key is to start from a small step. If you try to overhaul everything overnight, then you're sure to set yourself up for failure. Start at one small habit and build your way up. If your goal is to start exercising regularly, don't aim to run 5 miles every day right off the bat. Start with a 10-minute walk. If your goal is to write a book, don't force yourself to write 2,000 words every day. Start with 200. The important thing is to establish a routine and stick to it. Over time, such small acts will add up, and within some time, it will be easy to remain disciplined by gathering momentum. But what happens when discipline fails? Because as much as we'd like to believe that discipline is the answer to everything, the truth is that there will be days when even the most disciplined person falls short. You might miss a workout, skip a study session, or procrastinate on a project. You really can let those moments become crushing. But that is where self-compassion comes in. Beating yourself up for not being disciplined enough isn't going to get you back on track. In fact, it does the opposite. It makes you feel worse and less motivated to try again. No, just accept that you're bound to fall sometimes. What's important is not when you had your tumble, but when you get up and keep on running. The truth of discipline is really that you're not perfect. You make mistakes. Discipline's about arriving at the same place every time, and that has nothing to do with being flawless. Then you'll always fail, and focus on progress. Celebrate small wins and acknowledge the efforts you're making, even though maybe they're not perfect. Success is definitely not a straight line. It's ups and downs, twists and turns. Discipline helps you navigate those twists and turns, but don't forget that the journey is just as important as the destination. Among the most efficient ways to keep discipline going is through a system of accountability. That is when it becomes a lot easier for things to go by default if you are all accountable to yourself. You then would have someone else holding your hand accountable, be that a coach, a friend, or even a journal. It becomes hard to avoid your commitments. Accountability gives you a sense of responsibility and adds a motivation to keep moving. It is not about guilt or shame. It is just having someone or something remind you of the bigger picture when things get really tough and you feel like stopping dead in your tracks. So, if you would like to say it differently, success cannot be attained by either discipline or motivation. In short, discipline versus motivation does not cut. It's a combination of the two in a way that works for you. Motivation may get you started, but discipline will keep you going. And when both exist, man, you better watch out. It's a force that can be used to your advantage regardless of the size of your goals. However, it is as important to realize that success is relative. The primary difference may come through achieving a richness of wealth or status in work. Or perhaps it would be personal relationships, creative expression, or fitness. Whatever and however it may be for your definition, discipline and motivation apply in the same way. The path to success is hardly ever smooth, but if you have the right mind and approach, you really can do anything. In the end, there really is no clear-cut answer to whether discipline or motivation should be adopted for success. Both can be difficult to separate and serve different functions at different stages of the journey. Success actually lies in the meeting of both, and knowing that no matter how much motivation gives you that initial kick, it is going to be this dose of discipline when things get tough that will carry you forward. Success is never a sprint, but a marathon. And as with any race, there will be those moments when you will feel unstoppable and those moments when you will wish to give up. The thing is to keep putting one foot in front of the other, even when it feels hard, even when the finish line seems impossibly far away. It's not about the heroic, spectacular moments of motivation. It's about steady, quiet acts of discipline that nobody sees. It is showing up for yourself day after day, even when you do not feel like doing so. It is faith that things in their own time work out if one can trust the process. And most of all, it's believing in one's ability to achieve anything he or she sets his or her mind to. Doing both discipline and motivation will be there by your side as you work towards achieving it. It's also the time to build up a resilience mindset that helps bring out that discipline and motivation. That is because resilience is the unspoken partner of discipline and motivation. It is quietly, silently pushing through each trying moment, especially when you feel like giving up, because discipline has been exhausting and motivation is nowhere to be seen. To be resilient is to believe that failure, obstacles, and failure are very much part of the path towards succeeding. Resilience pertains to having the capability to bounce back, understand from experiences of failures, and channel those experiences to propel them forward. A common misconception about success is that it follows a linear trajectory: work hard, stay motivated, be disciplined, and you'll succeed. But the reality is much messier. Sometimes, despite your best efforts, things just do not come together. The disciplined athlete may be injured and knocked back months in their preparation. The inspired entrepreneur may see a business idea that they worked years for fail. Such moments are among the hardest blows anyone can imagine. But they don't have to be the end of the journey. And so, finding a new way, pivot, and definitely keep moving even if it did not go well. Stories of success abound with examples of resilience. Remember all the authors who have written books that were rejected by publishers and eventually became bestsellers. Or those entrepreneurs who declared bankruptcy several times before building a successful venture. People do not succeed because they are always motivated or never fumble in discipline. People succeed because they never give up. They persist despite adverse odds. Just like discipline, resilience is also a learnable thing. Everything starts with the attitude. If you believe that failure is the end, then so it will be. But if you see failure as just an avenue by which to learn, then so it will be just another step in the journey. Resilient people know that the destination is never sure, but it is always sure because, with persistence, they do it. For them, every successful person has had a road full of twists and turns, but they can even navigate through those kinds of challenges because they hold on to the prospect of reaching the promised land. The ability to manage your emotions is also one of the key elements in a delicate balance of discipline, motivation, and resilience. Success demands emotional intelligence, the ability to know and control your emotions in such a way that they contribute toward achieving your objectives. Motivation is generally tied to emotions, and emotions are unpredictable. One day you are full of energy and motivational for the task, and the following day you may feel overwhelmed or discouraged. Recognizing, handling, and putting these changes in your emotion into control is critical to maintaining motivation as well as staying disciplined in the long term. It means you should have the capacity to step back in a position of detachment so that you can critique your feelings against what you should do. That is not to say that when you feel unmotivated or frustrated, you are failing. You experience highs and lows, and emotional intelligence will enable you to go through those ebbs and flows without losing your bearings. For instance, when you do not feel like doing something and would like to bypass it or procrastinate over it, emotional intelligence makes you realize that that is just a temporary feeling. You can acknowledge this feeling and yet not let it decide what you do, and that is where discipline comes in. Show up and get the work done when you don't feel like it. One would also develop emotional intelligence through the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness pertains to being aware in the present, leaving room for observation of thoughts without judgments of those emotions. Through such practice, it would be possible to become more conscious of the effects emotions might have on a person's motivation and willpower, then learn a constructive way to respond to that. Instead of letting the wave carry you away with frustration or doubt, you can watch it come and subside while you still learn to accept such feelings and then move on. Besides controlling your emotions, you would understand that besides motivation, another equally important factor for sustaining it is your why. Why are you doing it? What makes you want to win? Having a good, solid reason for chasing success can keep you focused and motivated even when it gets tough. Your why is the anchor that keeps you grounded when everything else seems uncertain. For some, it may be in providing for their family, gaining a new financial independence, or even reducing the ills in the world. For others, perhaps it is the feeling of victory after so much effort has been spent trying to learn something or bring about personal changes. Whatever your why is, it has to be something that resonates with you deeply, something you can hold on to when motivation wears down and discipline starts to feel like a grind. When you know why you're doing what you're doing, you find it easier to push through the grind because you're not working toward this vague goal. You're working toward something that matters on a fundamental level to you. It's good to periodically review your why and make sure it really applies to your goals. You may learn and grow, and your reasons for pursuing certain objectives might be different. What motivated you may have been different 5 years ago. That's okay. Success is not just about achieving external goals, it's about staying true to yourself and your values along the way. If your why no longer resonates with you, it might be time to reassess your goals and make adjustments so that you're working towards something that feels meaningful. The other point in keeping habit and disciplines is to understand the role of habits. Habits form the basis of discipline. Once you acquire good habits, you will need little motivation because the actions needed to accomplish what you want done will probably occur automatically. You don't ask yourself if you are going to the gym, it's part of your routine. You don't need to find the will to study or to work on your project hits, just what you do at a given time each day. Good habits take time and effort, but once in place, they will make everything else pretty easy when achieving success. It's all about building tiny habits, being consistent, and not doing everything all at once. Work on one habit at a time, and then move on to the next one when that becomes a part of your routine. All those tiny adjustments in a due course of time will add up, and soon, discipline becomes your second nature. Of course, not all habits are created equal. Some habits are more beneficial than others, and it's important to be intentional about the habits you're building. Make sure that the habits you're developing are aligned with your goals and values. For example, if your goal is to improve your health, developing a habit of exercising regularly and eating nutritious foods will support that goal. Conversely, if you have a habit that involves getting out too late at night or doing workout avoidance, that habit will confront you. Last and final, your environment. Your environment could be your sword or your knife. Walking in an environment with constant distractions and negativism does make it harder to come through being motivated and disciplined. On the other hand, creating an environment that facilitates focus and positivism makes it much easier to stay on track. Take a look around at your environment. Is it conducive toward gaining your goal? If not, change something. Maybe it is just a matter of tidying up your workspace or cutting away nagging distractions. Maybe it is being with people who inspire and energize you rather than people who merely drain you. Whatever changes you want to make, remember that environment will help much to dictate one's behavior and attitude. Of course, discipline, motivation, and resilience don't all hang out in a room together operating independently. They are deeply connected with each other, where one can help propel the other. When you're disciplined, you develop a routine that helps keep the motivator fired up. When you're motivated, it gets easier to maintain a practice of discipline. And when you're resilient, you can bounce back from setbacks. That's even when motivation and discipline don't seem so easy to keep up with. Success, then, is not a simple matter of motivation or discipline. It is creating knowledge about the production of both and how the two work in tandem to overcome and work through challenges and achieving goals. It is building resilience, managing your emotions, and remaining connected with your why. It's about building habits that support your goals and sustaining an environment that fosters growth. And more importantly, it is believing in one's possible success even when the road becomes very tough. Success is not easy to gain. However, if you have the right attitude and mindset in getting it done, then it is just in your hands. Whatever it may be, personal, work, or creative inputs resulting in discipline combined with motivation and spirit for resilience helps you cruise through the highs and lows. So as you walk, just remind yourself with every step, no matter how small, you get closer to where you're going. Winning or losing isn't so much about crossing the finish line. It is rather the kind of person that you show up to be, in which one perseveres, even when the way ahead isn't crystal clear. One of the most important realizations as one continues on his journey toward success is that success isn't something in itself, but rather the sum of countless small victories, decisions, and efforts that accumulate over time. In other words, every step you take is perfectly profitable in terms of its contribution toward an overall goal, no matter how insignificant it may seem in the moment. Of course, this view is critical because it keeps you from getting buried under the scope of your ambitions. Rather than aiming at the end, you can focus on the process, that is, the day-to-day activities that cumulatively bring about lasting success. One of the most formidable barriers people have encountered in their drive for success is the fear of failing. It is paralyzing. The fear of living down to the expectations of others, those of others, or even your own. It sucks the will right out of you, strangles one's discipline, and makes some of the mundane tasks seem impossible undertakings. But knowing that failure is not the opposite of success, it is just a stepping stone on the pathway, can help modify one's outlook toward it. Every failure has a lesson, a chance to be better for next time, when one may finally focus on becoming a better, more resilient person. Success does not mean failing, but learning from failure and moving on. Think of failure as feed forward, not defeat. This is a signal that perhaps things have not gone according to plan, and you are forced to search for the cause, change strategy, and then try again. An approach like this allows you to treat every challenge not with fear, but with curiosity. You do not consider failures like a representation of personal weaknesses or as reasons to quit, but more as lessons, which would make you stronger and thus able to succeed in the future. So now, persistence is so great because most people would relate it with discipline or motivation, but actually it's much more of that. It's a mindset which you develop over time. And persistence is all about believing that you will succeed no matter how long it takes or how difficult the road gets. It is this inner urge that makes the person press on even when conditions appear unfavorable from outside. It is based on the fact that success does not happen overnight, but is achieved when persons who have the will to succeed by trying and keep trying until things go right. When you persist, you realize that progress isn't necessarily linear. There will be periods of tremendous growth and periods when one feels absolutely stagnant. Some days, everything will simply fall into place. Other days, just not so much. But persistence will ensure you keep coming back and doing the necessary work again, all the while hoping that somehow it will all pay off. This attitude makes all the difference when working towards long-term goals. The output cannot be directly observed. Whether building a business, learning a new skill, or improving one's health, persistence allows one to continue on, even when progress seems slow. It's also important to cultivate patience along with persistence. In today's world, where we're constantly bombarded with images of overnight success and instant gratification, it can be easy to feel like you're falling behind if you're not achieving results quickly. However, true success that lasts often takes time. Patience breeds respect for the journey, the pleasure of savoring the process of growth and learning, and trust that results will follow if you remain steady in your efforts. Patience also avoids burnout, the pitfall of people who want to do too much too quickly. Set realistic expectations and maintain the pace to cultivate your energy and eagerness over a long period. The other key element in the success equation is adaptability. And despite the best laid plans and the strongest discipline, life will always throw in unexpected challenges and opportunities of which you never know beforehand. Adaptability, the ability to change your course without losing the way, but keeping in mind your ultimate goal. One of the basic qualities that successful people possess is adaptability. Adaptability demands a flexible mindset. That means it is a very receptive, open to change, and open to new solutions mindset to explore a new solution when the old stops working. It means being proactive instead of reactive, predicting potential obstructions, and being ready to make changes according to the situation. There's always a call that brings out life to an idea and wraps open a path to success that one may never have known. That's all right. Adaptability pushes one into embracing the fresh possibilities and challenges to be opportunities, not obstacles. Creative thinking and resilience prevail when uncertainty really prevails. Adaptability has to be an attribute in today's quickly changing world because conditions that contribute to a person's success are constantly changing. Whether it is the unfolding of markets, new technology usage, or changes in personal circumstances, adaptability does just that and allows one to keep moving on while shifting ground behind. One of the most essential points of flexibility is a growth mentality. This is known as the growth mindset and was coined by psychologist Carol Dweck, the belief that one can cultivate abilities and intelligence through effort and hard work. Those who have a growth mindset believe that challenges are not presented as opportunities for growth and development, but rather as threats to their confidence. They are more likely to stick it out when things aren't going well because they do not see failure as a defining aspect, but as a step to improvement. Such qualities as resilience and a tendency to take risks are effective in achieving success, created by the growth mindset. On the other hand, a fixed mindset, the belief that abilities are fated and unchangeable, may be your weakness. You will shy away from any challenges if you believe that success is strictly based on innate talent or even intelligence. Hence, in a nutshell, you would not take risks as failure is always looming, and you would readily quit when things do not go your way. But with a growth mindset, you tend to believe that you actually can get better. Effort counts, and every experience, negative or positive, is part of the tapestry that makes you the way you are. Another factor is the right people to be surrounded by to achieve success. People that you spend most of your time with influence considerably mentality, habits, and attitudes. So if you have other people surrounding you who are negative, unmotivated, and not supportive, it will not be easy for you to maintain the discipline and motivation that can help reach the goal you want. Conversely, if you surround yourself with the most positive, driven, and supportive people, their energy and thoughts may be what keep you inspired and motivated to keep going. Seek mentors, colleagues, and friends that challenge you to be your best and give you constructive criticism. They would like to share your successes with you, seeing how you have grown into your potential. Those connections provide great support in the bad times and have people holding you accountable to your goals. Furthermore, via the ties of a community of people who think like you do, you find the belonging and common purpose that may well strengthen commitment to your goals. One should also learn to exhibit self-compassion as they strive for success. Being too hard on oneself when one's plans do not come into fruition often leads to burnout, frustration, and reduced self-esteem. Self-compassion means the practice of treating oneself with kindness, care, and understanding, most specifically during these painful moments. It is one's recognition that setbacks are normal parts of this process, and that it is not necessary for one to always be perfect to succeed. Self-kindness brings greater resilience in a bouncy, rebounding from failures, keeps one motivated, and more importantly, will remain disciplined in the long run. Self-compassion doesn't mean lowering your standards or making excuses. It simply means acknowledging that you're human, that mistakes happen, and that you're doing your best. Practicing self-compassion provides a much more sustainable route to success. It is the kind of growth and improvement one expects of a process, without adding the burden of self-criticism. It also maintains the perspective in your mind that success is the journey, not the destination, and everything on the way forward or backward is part of the journey. Discipline and motivation pretty much go together. Success is complex, multilateral, and a result of the integration between discipline, motivation, resilience, adaptability, persistence, and self-compassion. Success, unlike a marathon race, isn't a sprint, but rather a long race that is full of distractions, shocks, and blind turns. Success, however, is not just possible. It is guaranteed when the right mindset, habits, and support system are in place. With discipline and motivation as the two embracing virtues, it will help you remain resilient in the face of failure, while a growth mindset will serve as a guide and self-compassion will be your friend. Success is the fruit of strong, prompt, and consistent effort, faith that will not falter, and deep commitment to growth and development. And as you keep pushing on your own particular path to success, remember that every step gets you closer to being that person that you would like to be. Now that you're moving toward your goal, there's something important that you should know about the experience of it. The journey never ends. Success is not some destination that you finally arrive at and sit on. Success is a liquid process of growth, learning, and improvement of the person. Every milestone achieved is merely a ground on which new goals, new challenges, and deeper fulfillment begin. That is to say, every time you feel you are advancing, you run away the possibility of staying at that level of success to be satiated or stuck. You keep wondering and remaining open-minded toward other possibilities and keep striving for excellence. One of the most important realizations you can make on this journey is that true success is something much bigger than external achievements. Of course, material accomplishments such as financial security, career advancement, or public recognition are exciting and fulfilling in themselves, but they don't fully convey what success is all about. Fundamentally, success has a personal core that's deeply subjective. It's about staying true to your values and being fulfilled in your pursuits, feeling there is joy and purpose in what you do. So, success is not only what you gain through the process, but actually what you become in it. Such an attitude can completely change the way of approach to achievement. If you tend to center on the external achievements, it can easily trap you in measuring your success against others and thus feeling inadequate every time you're going to fail to reach up to their level. And you define success to yourself on your terms, according to your own criteria of values and aspirations, thereby freeing yourself from the pressure of others' validation. You stop competing with people and began competing with yourself for your growth and fulfillment in life. It lets you follow success from a place of passion and authenticity rather than from fear or inadequacy. This further means success cannot be one size fits all. For the few, success can be about leading their profession or establishment to the top. For others, a correct relation, providing value to the community, or having a work-life balance may form a concept of success. The key is being honest with yourself about what success looks like for you. In other words, what really brings you a sense of happiness, satisfaction, and purpose, and then pursuing that vision with intent and commitment. This is accompanied by constant reevaluation of goals and priorities, as what initially construes itself to be successful may change over time. It is simply a natural part of the journey. What mattered 5 or 10 years ago may no longer resonate with your current values or aspirations. Success should not be static. It should rather be dynamic and allow you to freely redefine your objectives as you learn new things and experiences come your way. Attunement to the inner voice and preparedness to change your goals in accordance with your present reality make your hunt for success authentic and relevant to what you are becoming. Apart from the satisfaction derived from personal fulfillment, an important aspect to success in the long run is impact on others. True success is the self-out for what you serve the people around you. It could mean helping people to be successful, giving back to the society, or utilizing your skills and resources positively in somebody's life. As you start to become more in line with what can I contribute, rather than what can I get, to how can I serve, into a far more meaningful model of success, one that brings satisfaction not only through individual accomplishment, but through having a positive ripple effect in other people's lives. This outward focus can be a mighty motivator, but knowing that what you do and the work you do can also benefit others leaves a sense of accomplishment that is beyond self-serving. It connects you to something greater than yourself, and thus causes your endeavors to be worthy and fulfilling. And sometimes it might be mentoring a colleague, helping with a charitable cause, or just being that source of inspiration and encouragement for those around you. And maybe the impact you have on those around you will be one of the sweetest things about your journey to success. As a matter of fact, many of the world's greatest leaders attribute their fulfillment not only to their achievement, but also to the ways in which they have had an opportunity to uplift and inspire others. The act of assisting people in achieving their goals will determine your well-being and that of your community. Helping others acquire your knowledge and experience empowers and equips them to make good decisions. It is creating a more beneficial society. It is this sense of purpose and contribution that fuels your motivation and drive in ways that the mere achievement of personal success can't. And as you move forward with your venture, next is also a very important balancing action. Because the pursuit of success, especially in the form of great discipline and motivation levels, might sometimes even cause exhaustion if unchecked. One has to know when to push ahead and when to back off to rest, recharge, and reflect. Success is not only just working hard, but also working smart, tending to your psychological and emotional fit, ensuring that the quest for success is not diminishing but augmenting the quality of life. A balance does not mean you cannot have your hectic, concentrated, intense periods of work. Those are necessary and most often build great breakthroughs. It means being aware of your limits and knowing when it's actually essential to sleep and relax, because that's just as important for success. Taking time to recharge gives a chance to return to work fresh, full of energy and creativity and clarity, to hence maintain such equilibrium and pursue one's goals with time, enthusiasm, and resilience. That also serves to inject moments of rest and reflection into your daily routine, during which you celebrate all the progress you've made. It's very easy to get so carried away about what is ahead that you forget how far you've come. Reflecting on the small and big successes builds the individual's sense of having actually accomplished something. It's through these reflections that a person can sustain motivation in him or herself. Celebrate progress. Don't rest on laurels. It is about realizing that every step forward, every lesson learned, every obstacle overcome is a testament to your growth and perseverance. As you reflect on the journey you have taken, don't forget that success seldom travels alone. Anyone, then, who inspires you, guides you, or encourages you along the way, whether a mentor, good friend, a member of your family, or even a colleague, for that matter, is instrumental to achieving success. Building and maintaining good relationships with those who actually believe in you ensures that there will be adequate emotional support and practical guidance in helping you navigate those challenges. These relationships provide sources of strength and inspiration that remind you of how far-reaching your journey is. At the same time, don't be afraid to seek new mentors, advisors, or collaborators as you grow. Surrounding yourself with people who challenge you, offer you new perspectives, and push you to reach new heights is crucial for continued success. These relationships can open up new opportunities, give you valuable insights, and push you toward the right path. Success is fundamentally a personal and continuous journey into self-improvement, hence requiring discipline, motivation, resilience, and being adaptable. It's about striving toward becoming better, walking an additional mile for just the sake of stretching, and then seeking to achieve the impossible. It's about learning to be better from failure, celebrating every step and progress made, and constantly changing in your journey in pursuit of destinations that mark dreams pursued. Perhaps most important, though, is just knowing that success is not merely a means of gauging external markers of success, but is being the best version of yourself, seeing a life that actually feels meaningful and purposeful, and being able to impact others and the world positively with your success. Just keep pushing forward, just keep growing, and just continue to believe in that ability to create the life and success you really want.